There are some stories that are so old, you'd think they'd lose their punch. But not this one. We're about to dive into a 2,000-year-old story that is absolutely packed with drama. It's all about power, betrayal, and, well, a source of strength that comes from the last place you'd ever expect.
Okay, so picture this. You're in ancient Jerusalem. The air is thick with tension. Some newcomer has just walked into the most sacred place in the city, and let's just say he's caused a bit of a scene. The people in charge, the ones with all the power, are furious, and they come at him with this one simple but totally loaded question.
So who's asking? Well, it's basically the A-team of the city's leadership. You've got the chief priests, the guys who run the temple. You've got the legal experts, the ones who know the law inside and out. And you've got the elders, the respected community leaders. I mean, this group holds all the cards, religiously and socially. So when they ask Jesus, by what right are you doing this? What they're really saying is, who do you think you are? Challenging us. This is not a friendly chat. It is absolutely a threat. A line in the sand.
So, how does Jesus respond? Does he give them a big speech? Nope. Instead of answering them directly, he completely pivots. He decides to tell them a story, a parable. And this story, well, it's designed to completely flip their whole idea of power and authority on its head.
And so he begins, telling them this story about a vineyard. But here's the thing. This isn't just some random tale for the people standing there that day. It's kind of a riddle for us too. It's one of those stories that makes you stop and think, okay, where do I fit into this?
And pay attention to the details here because they're important. The owner in the story doesn't just, throw some seeds in the ground. No, he goes all out. He builds a protective wall, he digs a wine press to make the wine, he even builds a watchtower for security. He's creating this perfect, complete, thriving place. He's not cutting any corners. It's a gift, and you can tell he poured everything into it. So after doing all this incredible work, what does he do? He hands it over to some tenant farmers to take care of it, while he goes on a trip. He's giving them this amazing opportunity to work the land and benefit from it. The deal seems pretty simple, right? He's the owner, they're the caretakers. Crystal clear. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? This is where the story takes a really dark turn. The tenants, they start to get a different idea. They start looking around and thinking, hey, this place is pretty great. Maybe it should be ours. They totally forget they're just caretakers. They start acting like they own the place. Just so we're all on the same page here, the owner is the one who created everything. The steward, the tenant farmer, is just the manager. They've been entrusted to take care of it. Their job is to manage, not to own. That's the key distinction. And this is their fatal error. It's a huge mistake. They look at this incredible gift they've been given to manage, and they decide they want to possess it instead. And that single confusion, the mix-up between being a steward and being an owner, is the seed for all the terrible stuff that's about to happen. And believe me, things escalate fast. The owner sends a servant to collect his share of the harvest, which is totally his right. But the tenant's reaction is just brutal. The first guy, they beat him and send him away with nothing. The next one, they humiliate him. And the one after that, they kill him. It just gets worse and worse. They're basically saying, we don't recognize your authority at all. So finally, the owner makes one last attempt. He sends his own beloved son. He must be thinking, surely they'll respect my son. But the tenants, they don't see a chance to make things right. They see an opportunity. Their logic is absolutely chilling. Hey, this is the heir. If we get rid of him, then the inheritance will be ours. It's the ultimate act of rebellion. So that's the climax of their insane power grab. But the story's not over. Not by a long shot. This is where Jesus brings it all home. And he does it by quoting a piece of scripture that everyone listening would have known by heart. He turns to the very leaders who were just challenging him. And he puts the question to them. He makes them be the judge. So he asks, what do you think the owner of the vineyard is going to do? He's forcing them to think about what justice looks like in this situation. I mean, the answer seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? Of course he's going to come and get rid of those terrible tenants and give the vineyard to people who will actually appreciate it. Justice demands it. But, and this is so important, that's not the real punchline of the story. Here it is. This is the big reveal. Jesus says, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Think about that.
The one they threw out, the heir they killed, the one they thought was worthless, turns out to be the most critical piece of the whole building. The very thing the so-called experts tossed aside is actually the thing holding everything else up.
Wow, I mean, that is such a powerful idea, right? This concept of finding strength in the very thing that was rejected, it's not just an old story. It's something that still resonates with people, with artists, today. In fact, let's take a look at a modern piece of art that explores this exact theme.
So an artist was really wrestling with this story and created this drawing. It's their own personal take on it, trying to visualize what that cornerstone might actually look and feel like in our own lives today. It's a beautiful way to connect that ancient parable to our modern world.
And listen to the note the artist wrote to go with it.
It says, "In the most unseen places, grace still grows quietly." That just perfectly captures the heart of the parable, doesn't it? That true life, true grace, it often pops up in the places we least expect, in the hidden, heavy, maybe even the rejected parts of our lives. Just like a cornerstone, which is usually out of sight. So let's break down the symbolism in the drawing. On one side, you've got this stone. On the outside, it looks heavy, dark, totally closed off. Honestly, it's the kind of thing you'd probably just walk past or even cast aside. But look inside. It's bursting with flowers and life and color. It's a hidden garden. And then on the other side, you see a screw, a cross, things we think of as hard, cold, maybe even painful. But what's their job? Their entire purpose is to hold things together, to be the invisible structure that carries all the weight. So what's the artist getting at? It's the same exact point as the parable. True, deep, foundational strength. It doesn't come from us trying to grab power and control everything ourselves. It comes when we rely on a love that's strong enough to carry our weight for us. It all comes back to that initial idea, right? It's about being a steward, not trying to be the owner.
And that really just leaves us with one last question to think about for ourselves. What's the rejected stone in your life? You know, what are the things you've maybe dismissed or overlooked or thought of as a weakness? Is it possible, just possible, that one of those things you cast aside is actually the cornerstone that's holding your whole life together?